program now with our first segment about FATF. We have with us in our studios right now Mr. Faheem Sardar, who's an economist and a frequent participant in our program. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us again on Newsroom. So a very big moment for Pakistan and FATF. In your opinion, at the moment we've stayed out of the blacklist. What is going to happen next? Are we going to be given an extension period now again because still certain measures need to be taken?
Certainly. I think talking about the blacklist is one thing, but actually we're heading towards the white list. It takes time. These things take time. What is very important for us to understand is that certain countries with specific reference to India, they've been trying desperately to push Pakistan onto the blacklist, although Pakistan has been trying to comply with all the requirements of FATF. Now, that's one side of the spectrum. The other side of the spectrum is what Pakistan has done and what most of the FATF members have recognized in this meeting, which was that Pakistan actually has put in a lot of effort to tighten things up, to improve things. What happens is, because I've worked in compliance as well and forensics, in my assessment, I think there are three things that FATF will be asking us to do, generically three things. Number one, drilling, tagging, and enforcement. So in Pakistan, yes, I think we've come a long way. We still have some way to go. However, it is important to understand that certain interest groups, certain countries were trying to do something terrible. That most probably has been avoided. We are moving towards the white list. That will, I think, take at least one or two more meetings in my assessment.
Right. So Pakistan was put on the grey list in June 2018, and then we were given till October 2019, and then another further extension period of 4 months. And at one time there was a grave risk that Pakistan may be put on the blacklist, the implications of which are very serious because we know Iran and North Korea are also on that blacklist, and that would have significant economic consequences for the country.
Dire economic consequences, because let's just look at what happens. You cannot transact internationally. Others cannot transact internationally with you. You have to start going into barter. You have to go through other countries. So you basically become a hostage to the situation. So what Pakistan did was we just accelerated our compliance capacity, our transparency capacity, and actually it would have been nice had we done this a little earlier. But the fact of the matter is, you see, even FATF, the bottom line is, look, politics is one thing, but even the members can see that a lot of effort has been done. Now, I would like to highlight a Chinese Foreign Office statement in the previous quarter. They said something very interesting. They said, and we've covered it in our publications, which we have in front of us, that they urged FATF to remain neutral and not be coerced by other countries' attempts to influence the situation. Because, I mean, if you look at the structure of FATF, it is a very helpful structure, but sometimes you get the feeling that there's a bit of politics going on. So the kind of compliance, very frankly, that Pakistan has done up till now, let's say in the past 2 years, many countries aren't going that far. They're in the white list.
It seems a little bit biased because you see that prior to this, Pakistan was on the white list. It was off in any FATF list. And then in 2018 in June, suddenly they put Pakistan on the grey list after you saw the growing influence of India around the world with the West, particularly the FATF countries, the member countries.
That's true. And Pakistan plays a critical role, will be playing a critical role, which certain countries need to accept. And you see, FATF is one thing, but it has radiating effects on other things: economics, society, regional politics. And Pakistan is a regional player. It's not a localized country. So it's very odd to believe that, you know, Pakistan will just be put on the blacklist. It's very odd because you can't do that to a regional player, especially a country that is trying to comply. And lo and behold, I think it's the reports that were coming out were 14 out of, I think, 27 of the points have been complied with. So we just need more time. I mean,
14 additional, right? Because before there were 5 points that were complied with. So that's about
and basically we've got 13 more points to take care of. working on them. It's a work in process thing. We can accelerate a little bit more, and we can take care of it a little more. Take care of it a little bit more carefully. But you have to look at it from the perspective of many people. Your adversaries wanted a blacklist. They're not going to get that. We wanted a white list. Right now,
we'll have to wait.
We'll have to just keep going. And the point is, in which direction is Pakistan going? Is it towards the black or the white? So it's very important to understand you're going towards the white. Because
and what changes that we've had to make, I mean, the impact that it's had on our country, it's with the IMF requirements and the FATF requirements, within a short amount of time, people have just been through a sort of a laundry machine.
I think that's an understatement, yeah. It's not easy to just jack up your regulatory structures in a matter of a year and a half.
Right.
It's not easy, and it's not helpful, it's not healthy. So you have to gradually build it up. So even in good times, when you're on the white list or super white list or whatever, one should always be ahead of the system, of the global system. Look, we have the potential to do this. We have the capacity to do this. Anti-money laundering, terrorism financing, and as the FATF says, the integrity of the international financial system. We've been compliant on all fronts. We have never brought any difficulty onto the international financial system. That's what the FATF is looking at.
And more so, our own country has suffered due to lack of these regulations because of the money flowing out of the country.
Yes, that's a good point, because I mean, if you have regulations looking at transactions and inflows, then you should have regulations looking at more transactions and outflows. So you have to establish a balance, and whatever system that is incorporated internationally has to be maximized for internal benefit, whether some people like it or not. I repeat, it is important to understand which direction Pakistan is on right now. Now, again, it's India is behind most of the lobbying and the negative lobbying and everything. But at the end of the day, we're not heading towards the black, we're heading towards the white.
Yeah.
Having said that, I repeat myself, we have to work a little harder, have to push it till the end.
Right. Okay. And now there's still a chance. Let's just get into like recent days, what happened, which was significant for FATF, the review that Pakistan's undergoing, the arrest of Hafiz Saeed. That was a big move on the part of Pakistani courts. And this was a big figure that was, there was a demand of India and the United States that he be arrested, and the leader of the JUD. So days before this plenary.
Yes, I think it's in compliance with many of the things that are happening, but it's also a part of our internal judicial system. We're basically taking it step by step, but I think we have been accelerating those steps in the past, I think, 7-8 months. And we might see some more changes as well.
Right.
In the coming months.
Right. Okay. We have with us online Mr. Mehtab Haider, who's a journalist and an expert in the economy as well. Thank you, Mehtab, sir, for joining us. So what, in your opinion now, do you think is going to happen next? Because some legislation still needs to be made, which recently was told by the economic team that's responsible for FATF, which will take months also. What are the steps now will Pakistan be making if we remain in the grey list in the coming future?
I think FATF has not yet announced, but there are sources who can confirm that Pakistan has been continued to place on the grey list for next few months. Now there are requirements, as you know, the legislative part and some of the proposed legislation is pending before the National Assembly and Senate of Pakistan. And one of them is to strengthen the anti-money laundering law, where the penalties amount and the sentence period is going to propose to be increased. So on that part, if Pakistan strengthens that law, I think, and another part is the prosecution and the conviction of the banned organization and their affiliates. I think Pakistan is moving towards the right direction, and within next few months, we are quite confident that Pakistan will be out of the grey list.
Right, but there's also reports that the Financial Action Task Force is expecting Pakistan to do more. So what would that be?
I think Pakistan has already has been found compliant on more than 50% of the action plan. As you know, when Pakistan was placed into the grey list, Pakistan was given 27-point action plan, out of which Pakistan had already found compliant on 14 points. And there are remaining points in this regard. And it is hoped that these action plan they will be given time to comply on these remaining points to complete the whole 27 action plan. So it will be related to the legislative part and some of the strengthening of the regulatory regime, and some of them will be on the front of conviction. So on these three parts, all the remaining points will be revolving around, and it is hoped that Pakistan will be able to do it.
Right, and also Pakistan's efforts to become compliant, specifically in the last 4 months, have been really lauded by the FATF member countries as well as the United States representatives here as well. There's been a lot of work that's happened in so far as to improve coordination between the SPR and the other agencies involved in all of this process.
Yes, on the central government level, and there are also good coordination between the provinces and the center, especially on part of the law enforcing agencies and on the part of CTDs. So there is a coordinated efforts on account of which Pakistan has obtained the dividends, and in the future it's need to be improved more, because with better coordination we can achieve our objectives in next 3 to 4 months period.
Right. Thank you, Mehtab Haider Sahab, for joining us online. Faheem Sahab, now I wanted to ask you, we're talking about all the improvements we've made and what's to come. One of the main things about, anti-money laundering and terror financing is all the charitable donations that Pakistan is a very, very big on charity. Pakistanis give a lot of charity. So the charitable donations that are made, how is that ensured that it does not get into the right hand, into the wrong hands, gets into the right hands? Many people will walk into a shop or any charity and just give their sadaqah and whatever charity they want to. So how can we ensure that those are going to the right hands?
I think through proper scrutinized registration of the charitable organizations, and I have seen that in my own experience, that very recently that the federal government, the provincial governments are actually scanning everything.
Okay.
They're scanning organizations, and they are immediately shutting down anything that is not compliant or anything that could not be verified to be absolutely transparent, or if they have a bit of a doubt that it's not going to comply as per law. So once again, if the organization is properly registered as per the laws of Pakistan, as per the amended laws of Pakistan, there shouldn't be much of an issue. Giving charity is, I don't think, the issue. I think the charity going into a gray area where you don't know where it's going. Let's forget FATF for a second. It's in our interest to know where our money is going. It's in our interest to know who in Pakistan gets this. You see, we have a big heart, so who gets the biggest chunk of this big heart that we have? Is it going in the right direction? Because if we to be fair, if we are so charitable and we're so caring, and if organizations are so caring, then poverty should be going down.
Right. And would you say it's in the best interest of citizens to actually go and see the charity which they're giving money to, making sure that it's not being used for wrongful purposes?
I think that's a good check, and I think anybody, even starting from myself, I'm very careful about who I give my money to, for two reasons. One is The first reason is the personal aspect that if I'm giving my money to someone, I want it to go to the benefit of someone. I don't want it to go for any other purpose. So if people start checking on their own, I think that adds a lot of market pressure on charitable organizations to keep themselves neat and clean and just stay registered. It's not that difficult.
Right. A lot of other actions that were taken by Pakistan, including the ones we discussed, the provincial coordination, the coordination between the financial monitoring unit and the FPR, but also now you have a body overseeing, different bodies overseeing every single process that comes under terror financing and money laundering.
Every, I think, cog of the government is, I think, trying to get this thing done, trying to upgrade the system as per requirements, as per the benefit of Pakistan, as per the requirements of FATF. You see, things take time. It doesn't happen overnight. I mean, I think if my information is correct, that most of the organizations have been shut down. For simple reasons that, I mean, they're just not properly registered. They're not registered as proper societies, not registered as proper organizations. So obviously the government can give a better answer to that. But what I feel is every organization, every point of machinery in the government is trying to work towards this direction. Pakistan is a huge country. It's not a small country. It is the 6th largest country on earth, and I mean, it is not easy to immediately understand the quantum that exists in Pakistan. So to process that quantum, you need time. You need more efficient systems. You need simpler systems. So I think that's what the government is trying to do, because if you see many of the registration processes, they're making them simple, but more incisive. So,
and then more triggers in the financial system which show that something is suspicious, and a lot of other steps. Real estate has come under the ambit of the government as well. That's being monitored. But that's the end of this segment for today, this part of the program, and we'll be going on to our next segment. So thank you so much, Faheem Sardar, for joining us again.
Thank you.
And